I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And you may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the very first live episode of the SJP File Sports Report. I am your host, SJP, and we are going to be breaking down the very first week of the NBA playoffs. Now, the playoffs are, very just like the cornerstone of the NBA season. It's the part of the year that all NBA fans look towards. Even casual basketball fans love the playoffs. It's the part where the real season truly begins. And after the first week, all 16 teams have played. Well, not even the first week, more like the first 4 days or so. All 16 teams have played at least once. A couple teams have played twice. A couple teams are going to play tonight. But we're going to focus on the games that have happened previously over the past couple of days. The last play-in game, the Warriors took on the Memphis Grizzlies. Now this kind of shot my playoff bracket. Well, not really shot. I wouldn't say it didn't kill my playoff bracket, because even though I did have the Warriors against the Jazz, I did not expect the Grizzlies to beat the Golden State Warriors. I thought Steph was definitely going to, be able to push this team into the playoffs, and unfortunately, he showed up, but nobody else on his team actually did. The Memphis Grizzlies were fantastic. Steph played 47 minutes in an overtime loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, they were lackluster in the second quarter of that game. They got outscored 32-20, and then from that point on, they caught back up by the fourth quarter. And as for Draymond Green, the bum that is Draymond Green, came out there, had a wide open lane. To be honest, he should have pulled up for the jump shot if he could shoot. If he could shoot, he would have put up for the jump shot. Easy mid-range shot from the foul line. He had nobody around him. Drove to the basket, threw up a little floater, hit all rim. All rim. I think he hit the back of the rim. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And this kind of just proved that Steph really didn't have much help this year. I mean, like I said, Steph had 39 points in this game. Draymond Green had 11 points. Andrew Wiggins had 22 points, but he was 10 for 22 from the field. That's still 45%, but still, 22 points on 22 shots, not great. Kent Bazemore, he had 10 points on 12 shots. Jordan Poole, they played a nice 8-man rotation in this playoff, but I mean, Draymond Green didn't give you enough offensively. Andrew Wiggins was fantastic. Until was absolutely fantastic against the Lakers in the first play-in game. He has been a very good defender this year, and I know I've been shitting on Andrew Wiggins for like the last year because I'm not an Andrew Wiggins fan. I don't like Wiggins. I think he doesn't. I don't think he loves the game. I really don't. I don't think the guy loves the game. I think he's an immensely talented player who's a good scorer, not a great scorer. He's going to give you around 18 points a game a year. But if you're looking for him to give you like 20, 25, that's not going to happen. He can explode for 25, 30, sometimes even 40 points, but he's never going to give you. He's never going to be that consistent 20-plus point a game scorer. I don't think you're ever going to get that from Wiggins because I just don't think he's that person. I don't think he has that type of personality. Steph, fantastic MVP year for him, but the play-in games overall, I would say were a success because you had two really good games between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers. All the other play-in games are pretty much blowouts. They were just pretty much blowouts. The Washington Wizards, I think they blew out the Indiana Pacers in their play-in matchup. So, sucks for Steph, but it's great for Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, especially when Morant and the Grizzlies went out there and won their first game. They won their first game. They went out there and they won game one, stole home court advantage against the Utah Jazz they went into Utah, stadium packed, well, as packed as it could be for COVID, but they came in there, they outscored the Utah Jazz 32-19 in the second quarter, 34-31 in the third quarter, and although the Jazz made it close in the second half of that game, in the fourth quarter of that game, they played very good fourth quarter basketball. Both teams did, but Ja Morant showed in this that, especially in the play-in game, that his 3-point game may have holes, but if you leave him open, he's going to take shots and there's some times he might get hot, and that's what happened in the play-in game against the Warriors. And now against the Utah Jazz, Ja was fantastic, had 26 points. Another guy who was also fantastic, Dillon Brooks, he had 31 points, 13 for 26 from the field. He gave you 7 rebounds. Dillon Brooks had a fantastic game. Grayson Allen gave you some production off the bench. Not much in the way of points, but he played well. So did Desmond Bane. As for the Utah Jazz, they sat Donovan Mitchell, a mere hours before the game for a reason. Actually, not even hours before the game, like right before the game, Donovan Mitchell got sat for, looks like the Utah Jazz were playing it safe, and which I thought was a bad move. Donovan Mitchell not playing game one. You're a better team, but giving the Memphis Grizzlies any more I'm looking for confidence after the play-in games are not something that I would recommend doing. Now, when Donovan Mitchell gets back, hopefully they'll play well. Rudy Gobert was Rudy Gobert. For those of you who are of any length of fan of the podcast, know I am not a Gobert fan. I am not a Rudy Gobert fan. Not because he's not a very good defensive player. He's a great defensive player. Probably going to win his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year this year. But giving $200+ million to a guy who can't give you at least 20 points is a problem. And he's big. He's long. Problem is, he's slow. He doesn't have the lateral quickness that you would need to defend guys on the perimeter, even momentarily. If you can catch him out on the perimeter, it's night-night for him. So, I'm not the biggest Gobert fan. Mike Conley played well. Bojan Bogdanovic played well. Joe Ingles was okay. He didn't shoot a lot. Hit a couple threes. He had an okay game. Bojan Bogdanovic gave you 29 points. Mike Conley gave you 22 points. But Conley gave you 22 points on 18 shots. He was 3 for 11 from the 3-point line. He did give you 11 assists, which was great. Jordan Clarkson was terrible. Off the bench, the new Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson, who just got his Sixth Man of the Year award. Congratulations to him. Derek Favors did give you some good minutes off the bench, but the Utah Jazz cannot afford to give the Memphis Grizzlies any more momentum. So what they need to do is they need to put Donovan Mitchell back in game 2. Because I believe, I'm trying to remember who's playing tonight. Because I believe the Clippers are playing tonight. The Clippers and the Mavs, of course, which is a series I will get to. You saw the title of the show, Clippers out here clipping already. But that is not to be said. We got 3 games tonight. We got 3 games tonight. The Celtics and the Nets, the Lakers and the Suns, and the Mavericks and the Clippers. To be honest, I love the Lakers. I'm a big LeBron James fan. I'm a big fan of LeBron James. I believe he's the greatest of all time. GOAT James, holla at. You come at me all you want if you don't believe me. I could give a damn. But I would much rather see the Mavericks and the Clippers instead of watching the Lakers and the Suns. Because I'd prefer this be like a doubleheader on TNT where you have the Clippers and the Mavericks and the Lakers and the Suns. I could care less about the Boston-Brooklyn series because that's going 4 at best. And I'll get to that in a second. But that series is going 4 at best. We had a game 1 and game 2. But we're going to start off with how the playoffs actually started off. With the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. Miami Heat and Milwaukee Bucks have had 2 games already. Milwaukee has won both games. We had a tight game 1 that went to overtime. Milwaukee wins 109-107. This was a series that I felt Milwaukee needed. Milwaukee needed this. Milwaukee did not run from the Miami Heat. I felt like they wanted the Miami Heat in the first round. One of the reasons because the Miami Heat crushed them last year. And with the addition of Drew Holiday to this team, now at the beginning of the year, I did not know how big of an impact Drew Holiday was going to be on this team. I thought he would be an impact. I didn't know how big of an impact he would be on this team. He was fantastic in this game. He had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. He was great on the defensive end. Giannis Antetokounmpo, even though Giannis was 10 for 27, he had 26 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Dante DiVincenzo showed up, not on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. On the boards, he had 10 boards himself. Brook Lopez played well, 18 points, 8 rebounds. You had PJ Tucker off the bench. He was +8. He didn't score, but he was +8. Great on the defensive end. Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis and PJ Tucker all came up big in game 2. And we'll get to game 2. So did Brian Forbes. All those guys came up big in game 2. But in game 1, this team was led by Giannis and Middleton and Holiday. That's their big 3. And Middleton is their closer. Middleton proved he played 44 minutes. Giannis played 45 minutes. That's what we need from Giannis in the playoffs instead of last couple years where he was playing 30, 35 minutes and sticking to the rotation. To hell with that. In the playoffs, you keep it to an 8 to 9 guy rotation. That is your playoffs. In the playoffs, your rotation is 8 to 9 guys. Your stars, unless it's a blowout, are playing 40-plus minutes a game. That's how it works. And Drew Holiday played 42 minutes. Chris Middleton played 44 minutes. Giannis Antetokounmpo played 45 minutes. Drew Holiday essentially had a block on the potential game-winning shot from Jimmy Butler in the corner at overtime. Drew Holiday, like I said, was fantastic in this game. Chris Middleton is this team's closer. He's their closer. Giannis, his offensive limitations do not lend him to becoming a closer, but he may be the best player, but Chris Middleton's the closer of this team, and I feel like Drew Holiday is like the leader that they needed. I had the Bucks winning this series 4-2. I do not think it's going 6 games. I do not think this series is going 6 games, especially after game 2. Now, Butler had 17 points in game 1. Duncan Robinson had 24 points in game 1, 7 for 13 from the field, all 3-pointers. Tyler Hero had 10 points, not a great shooting performance from him. Goran Dragic off the bench, he gave you 25 points. Kendrick Nunn, he was in the starting lineup. He gave you 10 points. But Bam Adebayo did not have a great game. He had a terrible offensive game, 9 points. He did have 12 rebounds and 5 assists, but 40 minutes, 9 points on 15 shots. Trevor Ariza, I'm going to get to Trevor Ariza because I saw Trevor Ariza push off Giannis, essentially do a push-up on Giannis in game 1 of this playoffs, and I was not happy with it. I don't know why PJ Tucker or one of these bench warmers like Elijah Bryant need to get up on that court and put their hands on him, or Jeff Teague. They need to get up on that court and put their hands on Trevor Ariza and let Trevor Ariza know, hey, my guy, you're not going to do that to Giannis. And I saw Giannis look at him. Giannis looked at him in a way, it was like, the fuck did you just do? I'm sorry, what was that? What was that? Yes, that's what happened. Now, as for game 2 of this series, game 2 was a blowout. Game 2 was an absolute blowout for this team. I mean, they crushed them. 132-98. Started this game off with like an 8-0 run. Then it was like a 10-2 run. Then they were up like 20-8 or something like that. They outscored the Miami Heat 46-20 in the first quarter. Then they outscored them in the second quarter only by 1, and then by 2 in the third quarter and by 5 in the fourth quarter. This game was never in doubt. This game was never in doubt at all. Jimmy Butler only had 10 points. Bam Adebayo had 16 points. He had a better game 2, but not the game 2 necessary to win this series. Duncan Robinson did not have the same game in game 1 that he had in game 2. Goran Dragic played well. So did Dwayne Dedmon. Tyler Hero still ain't giving you much. But they were not great. They were not great. Jimmy Butler was minus 34. Bam Adebayo was minus 18. Kendrick Nunn was minus 20. Duncan Robinson was minus 24. Trevor Ariza was minus 25. The only one who had a decent plus minus, not even a really decent plus minus, just not a horrendous plus minus, who played more than 20 minutes was Goran Dragic, who was minus 9. He played very good, didn't really shoot well from 3. But as for the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he had 31 points. Jrue Holiday, although he only had 11 points, he had 15 assists and 7 rebounds. A nice double-double from him. Giannis had 13 more, which isn't surprising. Chris Middleton only had 17 points in this game. 4 for 5 from the field. 3 for 3 from 3. 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Because he didn't need to do much. None of their starters really needed to do much. Because Brian Forbes hit 6 threes. Pat Connaughton hit 5 threes. Bobby Portis chipped in for 2. PJ Tucker hit a 3. Jordan Nweye hit a 3. And Sam Morrell hit a 3. They hit 22 threes in this game. 22 threes to 8 for the Miami Heat. They were chucking them from deep and hitting them all game long. And if the Milwaukee Bucks are hitting threes like this, there's not a team in the NBA they can't beat. There's nobody in the NBA they can't beat. Because not only did they hit 132 points in this game, they also held the Miami Heat to under 100 points. That's fantastic offense with great defense. And that's what you need to win an NBA championship. You need great offense and great defense. And I love the way this team is playing right now. I think this series, although I pick the Bucks in 6, I did pick the Bucks in 6 to win this series. I'm kind of revising that now. I'm not revising it, but I think this series probably goes 5. I think Miami will win 1 in Miami. But the way that they're playing, the way both these teams are playing right now, I think this series could go 5. This series might even be a sweep. I don't think it will be a sweep because I think Jimmy Butler is too good of a player to allow his team to get swept in the first round of the playoffs. I think he will get them a game, but I think that's about it. I think they'll get a game in Miami. I think they'll probably win game 3. First night back in Miami, the stadium's going to be packed. I think they win game 3 and then lose game 4 and lose game 5 in Milwaukee. I think the series closes out in Milwaukee. That's my prediction. Now, here's the game that I really wanted to talk about. It's the game the show is named, that this particular episode is named after. This is episode, 33 of the Sports Report, titled Clippers Already Clippin', man. Game 1, the Clippers are already clipping. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The Clippers essentially tanked their last couple games of the season to avoid the Lakers in the first and second round of the NBA playoffs. And the Phoenix Suns just showed that if you want the Lakers, you want the Lakers early, because LeBron James is not 100% right now, and AD is hit and miss right now. He is hit and miss. He'll have one fantastic game like last week, or the last time they played the Suns. He dropped like 42 on Ayton, and then this week he got completely outplayed by him. So this was the time you wanted the Lakers early, but you didn't want the Lakers. Apparently they wanted the Mavericks. And Luka Doncic has been unstoppable. Now, I said this series was going 7. Now, I picked the Clippers in 7, and I'm going to stick to that. I got take integrity, baby. I'm a student at the Nick Wright College of Takes. I'm a student of the Nick Wright College of Takes. But I would not be shocked if the Dallas Mavericks win this series. Because the way the Clippers are playing, they cannot close games. They are front runners, and they can't close games. They just can't. Which is strange, considering the fact that you have two people who most people consider two of the best closers in professional basketball in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Playoff P was way off P for the majority of this game. Playoff P was way off P for the first half of this game. He was 1 for 7 for the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He had 7 points, -4 from the field. Now in the second half, he played much better. He had 16 points, 7-11 from the field. Way off P showed up in the front half. In the first half, playoff P showed up in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, because he had 10 points in the fourth quarter, 4 for 7 for the field, 2 for 4 from 3. He did have an egregious 3-point hoist that was ridiculous. I don't know why the hell he was throwing that ball up there. But some of the signings for this team make no sense. Luke Kennard got paid like $60 million, I think, or $50 million or something like that. And he has been a non-factor this year for the Los Angeles Clippers. And like I said, even though Luka was 0 for 5, he still had 3 assists, still had 3 rebounds, and Jalen Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith and Tim Hardaway Jr. all hit big shots, because as soon as Luka crossed half court in the fourth quarter, they were doubling him. And what did Luka do? Tossed it on a dime across the court to the open man, and Dorian Finney-Smith and Jalen Brunson and those guys, they were hitting open 3-point shots. They were hitting open shots. Now, like I said, playoff P showed up in the second quarter. He showed up in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he did miss a big shot, but he showed up. But Kawhi Leonard didn't show up. Kawhi Leonard had 3 points in the fourth quarter, 1 for 4. He was 4 for 12 in the second half. He was 5 for 10 in the first half with 17 points. He was 4 for 12, 9 points in the second half, 0 for 4 from 3. It was a tale of two halves for these two. The killer, the guy people thought we were going to see when he got to the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, essentially, showed up in the first half, didn't show up in the second half. Way off P showed up in the first half, didn't playoff P showed up in the second half. But with the way these two teams are playing, with the way Luka is playing, gave you 31, 10, and 11. I think against the Clippers in, I want to say the 7 games he's played, he's averaging, I want to say 31, 9, and 10 or something like that. They can't stop him despite having two of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Two of the best perimeter defenders since Jordan and Pippen, according to some people. I am not one of those people. I don't believe that. I think they're both fantastic players. But Paul George has never, I've said this before on some of the earlier episodes of this show. Way off P will show up once or twice a series, and he showed up in the first half and in this game. He gonna show up once or twice in this series. It may even be more than that. And even playoff Rondo could not save them. And Rondo played well in this game. He was fantastic. But they need to figure out their rotation. Because why is Reggie Jackson on the court? Why? Why is Reggie Jackson out here? Give Rondo's minutes, give Jackson's minutes to Rondo and Beverly. And they tried to put Patrick Beverly on Luka, and Luka was giving him the business all game long, was backing him down. He too little. He too little to guard Luka. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Actually, it's not a shame. I don't give a damn. There it is. Claps. It's not a shame. I'm ecstatic. Yes, cheering. Cheering. I hate the Clippers. They showed up in Los Angeles, puffing their chests out. I'm the new king of LA, Kawhi Leonard. Keying over there in the bubble. Dame time. Well, looks like y'all might get knocked out in the first round. And I would love to see that. I really would. I really would love to see that. Clippers, like I said, Clippers already clipping, man. They're clipping. They're clipping before our eyes. And a win in this series for Luka Doncic would be immense for his career. It would destroy my prediction brackets. I got the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. And I got the Clippers in back-to-back 7-game series. Because I am not a fan of the Clippers. I have the Clippers in back-to-back 7-game series against the Mavericks and the Jazz. And then losing to the Lakers in 6 in the conference finals. But if the Lakers are cooking, like I think they will be cooking, tonight, Lakers need to win tonight. Are we going to shoot over to the Dallas Mavericks? Not the Dallas Mavericks, the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets. This has also been a game. There's also been two teams who have already played twice. Series is tied at 1 apiece. Portland won game 1 in essentially, I want to say a blowout. Technically, yeah, it was a blowout in game 1 and a blowout in game 2 where Denver blew out Portland. Dame time showed up as usual, 34 points, 13 assists. CJ McCollum chipped in for 21 points. Yusef Nurkic gave you 16 points. I'm glad to see he's healthy. He also chipped in with 12 rebounds. Carmelo Anthony, 18 points. It's great to see Melo in the playoffs again. I love Carmelo Anthony, one of the most gifted scorers in professional basketball. I hope he ends his career. I hope he wins a championship somewhere. I really, really hope Carmelo wins a championship somewhere because I want him to win a championship. I really do want him to get that ring. Same thing with Chris Paul. I would love to see Chris Paul get a ring. I love both of those guys. I was not a fan of Carmelo staying in New York instead of going to Chicago. If he had went to Chicago, maybe they could have got a ring there. That would have been him with, what's his name at the time? Him with a prime Derrick Rose before all the knee injuries. And you know how fate is. Sometimes domino effect. If Carmelo goes to Chicago, maybe some of those knee injuries don't happen to Derrick Rose. Maybe Derrick Rose isn't pushing himself so hard and those knee injuries don't happen because he's got another guy across the court who could, get his own shot too. Now, Jimmy Butler matures on this team because Carmelo's not on it. So maybe we don't get a Jimmy Butler in the current iteration that he is. But I'm glad to see Carmelo back in the playoffs, putting in work. Michael Porter Jr., fantastic. This isn't his playoff debut, but he has stepped up in a big way since Jamal Murray went down. I don't think this is Aaron Gordon's first playoff, but he's playing in Orlando hasn't exactly been great for him. Nikola Jokic, soon to be MVP, at 34 points, 16 rebounds. What is strange is he had 1 assist in this game. Last time you saw a Jokic stat line with 1 assist, that was wild. It's weird, it's strange, but these two teams played relatively not evenly. Like I said, they got blown out in the first quarter. They got blown out in essentially the third quarter of this game was where the Portland Trail Blazers put it on them, and they just pulled away for the whole game. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch this game. This game came up late. I didn't get a chance to watch this one. Also, I didn't get a chance to watch Game 2. I watched the highlights of Game 2. I did not get the chance to watch Game 2. But same thing. The Denver Nuggets started pulling away in the second quarter. Dame time, activated in, I want to say, late second quarter, early third quarter. But between the first half, they had put enough together to keep this game out of reach. So, series is tied. Our only tied series in the playoffs so far. So far. We're going to hold on a minute. I got to take a break. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Give me 1 second. We're going to play a little music and we'll be right back.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. 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 I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to.
Sorry about the break, guys. I was starving. I need to get a little something to eat, which I just did. But where was I? All right, back to the playoffs. Eastern Conference playoffs series. Game 1, my Brooklyn Nets versus the Boston Celtics. Now, my relationship with the Brooklyn Nets is very love-hate for one very, very simple reason. I've been a Nets fan since I was born in New Jersey. I've been a Nets fan my whole life. I don't like Kevin Durant. I don't like Kevin Durant. I don't like Kyrie Irving. And James Harden has been growing on me, but I've never been overly fond of him either. That is my issue with my Brooklyn Nets team. I don't like them. I don't like the fact that Kyrie Irving's essentially been taking personal days off. Kevin Durant and his burner accounts irritate the hell out of me. James Harden's play style in Houston and the way he left Houston kind of irritated me a little bit too. I have no problem with players asking for trades. I have no problem with players asking to be traded to a specific team. My problem is when you start dogging it. That's my problem. Just show up. Just show up and ball. If let them know you're not happy to be there, but don't make it that uncomfortable. But with that being said, this game was not as close as the score made it seem. The Brooklyn Nets were by far the better team. And the fact that the Brooklyn Nets kept the Boston Celtics to 93 points, even without James. Actually, I was going to give him big props for great on defense, but not really. Because Kemba Walker shaking the playoffs as is. Evan Fournier is a terrible playoff performer. Marcus Smart had a good game. Jason Tatum was bad from the field, but without James... I don't know why I say James. I mean, the other guy, Brown. Jaylen. God. Jaylen Brown. I don't know why I kept forgetting this dude's name. But ever since Jaylen Brown got hurt, I mean, I think this would have been a much more competitive series. But this is probably going to be a sweep. And even though the Nets only won by 11, I expect the Nets to crush the Boston Celtics in the next game. I think this series is going 4. Maybe Jason Tatum can get him a game in Boston, but they're about to go down 2-0 tonight. This is about to turn into a 2-0 lead tonight in Brooklyn on TNT at 7:30. That'll tip off 7:30 on TNT on the East Coast. But I'm not overly fond of this team. I'm not overly fond of the Nets. I love their styles. Kyrie Irving is arguably the most skilled player to ever play basketball. His handles is the best of all time. It's not really that close either. I love their styles. I just don't love their personalities. Especially Kyrie's. His personality irritates the hell out of me. He's one of those guys who thinks he's the smartest person in every room he walks into. And that shit irritates me. I hate those people. Whether you are the smartest person in every room you walk into, and whether you believe you're the smartest person in every room you walk into, are two very different things. And Kyrie walks around like he's the smartest person in every room he walks into, and that shit's irritating. And he's not. He's a brilliant basketball player. He's a smart human being. He's a brilliant human being who thinks he's a fucking genius. And it irritates me to no end. And as for Kevin Durant, I haven't liked Kevin Durant since he went to Golden State. So there's my feelings on KD. Jason Tatum, 6 for 20 in game 1. Bad game 1. His playoff story. This has been a horrendous year. This is a poorly put together team. They need major house cleaning. For this team. A lot of people got to go. Evan Fournier got to go. Kemba Walker, he's got to go too. Jabari Parker. You need to get a lot of these guys off this team. You need to get a lot of these cats the hell off this team so that maybe you can influence, you can get some work back onto it, because they're terrible. This is a poorly put together team that's not going anywhere. It's a bad team. It just is. Bad team. Sorry, boss. Sorry, Celtics fan. This is going to be a very short season for you guys. Very, very short season for you guys. Now, one of the bigger games, probably one of, if not the biggest game of the playoffs so far, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers losing to the Phoenix Suns in 99-90 a couple days ago. Now, Anthony Davis, I put a lot of this game on AD because AD got worked by DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton was the best big man on the court. Devin Booker showed up in a way I didn't know if he was going to show up. And I know Chris Paul got hurt early in the game, but he still played 36 minutes. He only had 7 points, but he gave you 8 assists. Devin Booker, when Chris Paul went down, Devin Booker stepped up in a big way. In such a big way. And I'm so happy for these guys. Give me 1 second.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget.
Alright, sorry about that. Ooh. Man, I haven't eaten all day, so sue me. I've been busy. Today's been very, very hectic, so apologies for like the start and stops. But where was I? Yes. This game, although fantastic, it was. I wouldn't say fantastic, but this is one of those games where you could see, I don't think LeBron James is all that healthy. I don't, and the Lakers need to figure out their rotation quick, because Andre Drummond does not need to be playing in this series. I like Drummond. I really like Drummond. But Andre Drummond does not need to be playing in this series. You need to put AD at the 5. You move Caruso. I would say you play AD at the 5. You move LeBron to the 4. You put KCP at the 3. You put Dennis Schroeder at the 1. You move Alex Caruso into the starting lineup at the 2, or you move Kyle Kuzma in. Great for Wesley Matthews and Taylor Horton Tucker, but I would substitute one of them for Markieff Morris. The Lakers have yet to completely figure out their rotation. Andre Drummond, you need to do like you did in the playoffs last year, Mike Vogel. You need to find a way you adjust your lineups to who you're playing. Andre Drummond does not need to be playing in this series. He doesn't. He really doesn't. And I know it's probably going to hurt his feelings, but you don't need to be playing in this series, bro. You really don't. You need to be off the court in this series. The only couple Lakers who had plus minuses in this game were Montrezl Harrell, who was +2, Taylor Horton Tucker, who was +1, LeBron James, who was +2. Everybody else, Anthony Davis, -18. The Lakers cannot win a championship. I don't even think they can win this series if Anthony Davis does not have great games. Now, I did pick the Lakers in 6, but after watching this game, I think I still have the Lakers, but it's Lakers in 7. Because they're not going to win this game. See, I don't think they can beat this team 3-4 straight times. It's not going to happen. And for that to happen, if the Lakers lose tonight, this series is over. If hopefully Chris Paul is healthy. I know he tweaked his shoulder. LeBron also tweaked his shoulder. But I think LeBron's more apt to be fine than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is more injury prone than LeBron has ever been. Even LeBron over the last few years. So I hope Chris is fine. Because I don't want to hear the nonsense from all the LeBron haters of, oh, the only reason he won was because this guy got suspended, or this guy got hurt, or it's in the bubble, and there are no fans, so he didn't have to worry about the pressure. You know what? I heard something interesting when I was watching through my sports talk. One of the greatest misconceptions in NBA history is that LeBron James isn't clutch. It's one of the biggest misconceptions in the history of professional basketball. It's wild how inaccurate it is when people say LeBron James isn't clutch. How wildly inaccurate it is so astounding it would blow your mind. In the clutch time statistics, the only guy who's hit more clutch shots that's essentially to tie a game, a go ahead, or a game winner, LeBron's had 99. Only person who has more is Kobe. When it comes to game winners, LeBron's got 7. Yeah, I think LeBron has 7 total. I think that's 7 in the regular season too. So I think that's 7 total in the regular season. I mean, there are only 3 guys ahead of him. Kobe and Joe Johnson. Shocking, I know. Joe Johnson has 8. Tied with Kobe, and Jordan's got 9. In the playoffs, LeBron has 5 game-winning buzzer beaters in the playoffs. That's 2 more than Jordan. That's 1 more than Jordan and Kobe combined. So when people say LeBron James isn't clutch, it infuriates me because it lets me know that you're a sports talk fan. That you just hate him for some reason. I don't know what reason it is. You just don't like him. And I got no problems if you don't like the guy. But just say you don't like him. Don't shell out all these reasons why you don't think he's better than Michael Jordan. Quick little side note. You know the easiest way to determine who's a LeBron fan, who's a Jordan fan, and who's a LeBron hater? It's very easy. Ask them the Jordan-LeBron debate. If they are essentially extolling, whatever that word is, the virtues of Michael Jordan. Okay, Michael Jordan was better at this. He was better at this. He was better at this. He was better at this. That's an actual basketball fan who truly believes Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. But when they start tearing into LeBron before they even mention Jordan's name, they'll say, you ask him, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron? Jordan's better. Why? Well, because LeBron didn't do this. He can't do this. He can't do this. He sucks at this. He's lost this. He's done this. He hasn't done that. Those are haters. Those are LeBron haters. Cut them out of your life immediately. Just stop talking basketball with them because they don't know what they're talking about. Because they just don't know what they're talking about. There's a difference between a fan and a hater. I have no issue with Jordan fans. I love Jordan fans. I hate LeBron haters. Because you hate him for a reason that makes no sense to me. But we've got game 2 of this series tonight in Phoenix on TNT. I expect the Lakers to win this game. I don't expect them to win it handily, but I expect the Lakers to win this game. Hopefully Chris Paul plays. That being said, we had 2 more games. The Washington Wizards and the Philadelphia 76ers, which was a shockingly close game, honestly. I did not think this game would be that close. I got the Sixers in 5. I believe it's the Sixers in 5. Yeah, I got the Sixers in 5. I did not expect this game to be that close. But although Joel Embiid had a rough start to the game, he was in foul trouble early. Tobias Harris showed up in the first half, had 28 points, 37 overall. Tobias Harris was fantastic in this game. He was fantastic. Joel Embiid only had 9 points heading into halftime. Finished the game with 30 points. Woke up in the second half. But Dwight Howard, I would love to. God, I wish Dwight Howard was still on the Lakers. But the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be a problem for any team because they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to beat the Nuggets probably in 5. I think Westbrook and Beal could definitely get them some games. Could definitely get them 1 or 2 games. I still have the Sixers in 5. I think it was a close game, but I still got the Sixers in 5. On their side of the bracket, I think they're going to crush pretty much anybody they play. I think the Knicks would probably be the worst for them because of the Knicks' physical style of play. So I would want the Hawks to win if I'm them. I would want the Hawks to win because I think they could blow the Hawks out in like 4 or 5 games. I really do. I really don't think the Hawks are anywhere near on their level. I think the style that they play would be better suited. But we had the first playoff game in MSG in a long time. The Knicks against the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta wins 107-105. I did not get a chance to see this game. And it hurts me that I saw the highlights. And it hurts me I didn't get a chance to see this game. Because from what I heard, it was fantastic. The crowd was bumping in MSG, as they usually are. I'm glad to see Knicks fans happy. I'm not a Knicks fan. I hate the Knicks. I hate the Knicks. But I found myself kind of rooting for the Knicks in this game because I don't particularly like my own team. It's not that simple. It's about that simple. I'm not overly fond of my own team, which is why I wasn't, jumping for joy when the Nets beat the Celtics. I want the Nets to win a championship. I just don't like the players on it. I said that like 20 minutes ago. I just don't like them. But this team, I'm very, very high on this team. Bogdanovich played out. Trae Young, just a fantastic game. Only hit 1 3, but he was 11 for 23 from the field, 9 for 9 from the free throw line, 32 points. Hit a game-winning floater in the fourth quarter that shut MSG up. That shit was quiet. It was quiet. Julius Randle did not have a great play. I think this is his playoff debut, too. I believe it's his playoff debut. I also believe it's RJ Barrett's playoff debut. So Alex Burke came off the bench, gave you 27 points. Derrick Rose was also right off the bench, gave you 17 points. Emmanuel quickly gave you some minutes off the bench. But if the New York Knicks have any chance of winning this series, RJ Barrett and Julius Randle cannot go 6 for 15 and 6 for 23 respectively. That can't happen. Those two need to show up in Game 2 if the Knicks want to make it to the NBA, make it to the second round of the playoffs. Now, I've got this series going 7. I still got the Knicks in 7. Because I think their physical style of play is going to be much more conducive to winning a long, drawn-out series because they're going to try to bully Trae Young. The problem is Clint Capella and John Collins, you cannot allow them to outplay Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. These two guys got to get it together. They got to get it together. And I want to see them get it together. I think basketball is better when the Knicks are better. I think basketball as a whole is better when the Knicks are better. And if the Knicks can get this done, if the Knicks can move on to the second round in basketball back in New York, maybe in basketball back in the major Manhattan area back at MSG, I think you might be able to lure one of these guys who isn't particularly happy in his own situation back to New York to team up with Randle and Barrett. Because I think you can get those guys to team up together. And Tom Thibodeau has done a fantastic job with this team. And he deserves serious Coach of the Year considerations. I believe Monty Williams is probably going to get the award for the work he's done in Phoenix. But Tom Thibodeau should definitely be the second name on that list. He should, without question, be the second name on that list. Now, as that said, that's it for the NBA, for the first week of the NBA playoffs, essentially. First week of the NBA playoffs. Like I said, tonight we've got Brooklyn and Boston. I've got Brooklyn going up 2-0. We got Lakers and Phoenix. I got the Lakers going up. Lakers tying the series at 1 apiece. And the Dallas Clippers. Now, I know what I want to say. After all the shit everybody's been talking over the last couple of days, I think the Clippers could bounce back and tie this series at 1 apiece. But if the Dallas Mavericks walk in to Los Angeles and win this game and go up 2-0, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised in the least. And if Dallas does win this series, if Dallas wins this game, this series is over in 5. To hell with 6 or 7. If Dallas wins this game tonight, this series is over in 5. This series is over in 5. It is. Because if Dallas wins this game, they're not beating... If Dallas wins this game, the Clippers are not beating Dallas twice in Dallas. That's not going to happen. Because that stadium is going to be... You know what? If Dallas wins game 3, because I think the Clippers will win tonight. If Dallas wins game 3, because I don't know. If Dallas wins game 3, I think they're winning game 4. This series could end. If Dallas wins game 3, I got Dallas in 5. I got Dallas in 6. If Dallas wins game 3, I got Dallas in 6. Because I don't know if the Clippers don't win game 3, I don't think they can beat Dallas in Dallas. I just don't. I have so little faith in this team. Because Kawhi Leonard has been the guy on the Clippers. And people forget, and people will say, well, he was the guy in Toronto. He was the best player in Toronto. But Kyle Lowry was the leader of that team. Kyle Lowry was the leader of that team. He was the vocal voice of that team. Kawhi Leonard just happened to be the best player. And I love Kawhi. I love Kawhi the player. I love Kawhi the player. Nobody really knows that much about him as a person, but I love him as a player. I love his style of play. He can score. He's a fantastic 3-level scorer. He can score at the rim, can score in the mid-range, can hit from 3. Same thing with Paul George. Great defenders, two-way players. My issue was the people who was calling Kawhi Leonard the best player in the world after going through a playoff series and not actually beating the best player in the world. Now, you came to LA, you made a lot of noise, but the Lakers were the team. Last year, you were sticking your chests out, street lights over spotlights. Well, the problem was the spotlight team were you. You were the spotlight team in the Clippers, while the Lakers were the street light team. They were the team. They were physical in the playoffs. They played fantastic defense. They played great offense. And it carried them to a championship while LeBron James cruised his way to his 10th NBA Finals appearance, his 4th championship. Now, this year is going to be the hardest road LeBron's probably ever... Actually, not really. LeBron's hardest road to get to the NBA playoffs, NBA Finals, is going to be in the first round. Because if the Lakers make it past the Suns, that means they're clicking on all cylinders. That means they're playing well. They're figuring out their rotation. And I expect the Nuggets to beat the Blazers. I don't think it's going to be in 6. I think it might be in 7. I think the Lakers beat the Nugget again. I don't think it'll be in 5 this year. I think it'll be in 6. And I'm revising given, how I saw the playing games. I'm going to stick with my initial, but I think the Lakers could beat the Mavs or the Jazz in 5 games. I think they could beat the Mavs or the Jazz in 5 games. I just think they're just a better defensive and offensive team than both of those teams. I think they beat the Mavs in 5 games. So the question is, can the Clippers keep their shit together long enough to win a championship? I don't think they can. I don't think they get to the Western Conference Finals, honestly. I have them going to the Western Conference Finals because I'm picking with my head. But I got the Clippers going to the Western Conference, but I am not overly confident about it. The Clippers are a team full of guys who haven't proven anything to anybody. When Kawhi Leonard won his 2 championships, he was the 4th best player on the Spurs during his first championship. And he was the best player in Toronto. But like I said, he was the best player. He wasn't the leader. Kyle Lowry was the leader of that team. And now you're in Los Angeles, and you got to be the best player. You got to be the leader. And I don't know if he can do that. And I don't think he can do it because I haven't seen him do it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on them. That's pretty much it for this week's... Actually, not this week's episode, because there was a little something I wanted to go over. Actually, should I? Nah. Doesn't matter anymore because I don't really give a shit about it. I kind of just fuck it. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode, I want to say 33 on Spreaker. This is my first live episode on Spreaker. Round of applause. Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, this is my very first live episode on Spreaker. I probably won't be going live too often. Issue with today was so hectic that I was planning on recording the episode this morning and then doing it later today and then, posting it later today, probably around this time, if not a little bit earlier. But like I said, today was so hectic that I didn't really get a chance to do that. But thank you, so much for listening to episode, like I said, 33 of the SJP File Sports Report. I am your host, SJP, and we are out. Here's Ellis, Clear My Mind. It's the song you've been hearing all show. We're going to give you a little bit, and then we're going to cross on out of here.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces.